Hey everybody, it's Maggie from Personal Euphoria with today's plank story. If you don't want to plank, you can just sway, wiggle, try to come up with movement maybe that's a little more unique, right? So not even just a sway or a wiggle, but like twisting, noticing what feels good to you, getting movement in the shoulders. Just be a little playful with your movement. All right, so here's today's plank story. If you were in New England, you know that Saturday was this frigid, freezing cold day. And I don't know if you saw all the news about Mount Washington, where I like to go up to hike, so I kind of keep tabs on it. But Mount Washington broke all these records it had already had for coldest day, highest wind chill. So it broke the record with tied its own record for coldest temperature on Mount Washington at negative 47. Broke the record for coldest wind chill at negative 108. Broke the record for wind gusts at almost 130 miles per hour winds. And I was reading, because there's people that work in the observatory there, I was reading that they had, if they were going to go outside, they had to go out in a buddy system. And on the one hand, I thought, who's going out in this? And on the other hand, I thought, if I worked up there, I'd want to experience that too. But I'd be petrified I'd get that door open against 130 mile an hour winds and not be able to reopen it once I'm out there. I learned I don't understand science. Every once in a while, there's a moment that shows me I don't understand science, because Mount Washington, I believe, they were saying it looked like it was going to, wound up in the stratosphere briefly because it got so cold. And I thought our atmosphere went by like height. You crossed different spheres as you got higher. So I don't really understand how it might have entered the stratosphere, but it was that cold on Saturday. And so it reminded me, when I was in high school, it was the first time I ever attempted to hike Mount Washington. It was March, and I had a friend who wanted to go up and hike, but neither of us knew what we were doing and didn't understand how cold it was. So we drove up to hike. And if we get 100 feet in, there was snow everywhere. We weren't equipped for this. We were not prepared to hike Mount Washington. So we turned back. We didn't even start going uphill. We basically got out of the parking lot and we're like, we can't do this. But we didn't have a hotel or any plan. We planned to camp. And so we did. We camped in the snow. And I remember being freezing the whole night. We did have sleeping bags and that, but and that's the thing with the mountain up in Mount Washington. When it's bad weather, you can't go. It's the mistake some people make. You can get some terrible weather, the world's worst weather, and they just broke all their own records for some of their worst weather. So anyway, more of a little weather fact lesson for today's plank story. But I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, keep moving.